It's your girl Princess, and welcome to another episode of CEO Confessions, where we have the no fluff conversation on what it takes to really become an entrepreneur. And I am joined by
Michelle.
It's Nicki again.
And Kaillez, last but not least.
Yes. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing collaborating with brands and also with peers. I'm a huge advocate for collaborating with peers. I'm always about the bigger picture and how we can help others. When collaborating with others, what are things that you look for in a person that make you say yes to that collaboration?
I feel like energy. I said it, but I really want to emphasize, for me, if it doesn't feel right. When I connect with people, I look them in the eyes. You know, for me, I want to see where their heart is. I want to see where their soul is. I want to feel that they are genuine people from the start, because if it feels bad or like a bad connection, people pray, but you don't know who they pray to. So for me, I go with what feels right. If that energy feels good and I feel like, we can connect on that level, I think then I'll go in and connect with that person. A lot of people say they are attracted to my smile. Well, I had a lot with my smile, okay? But I have a good spirit. I'm genuine. I'm me through and through. And a lot of people that work with me feel that, and that's why they want to work with me, because it's always coming from a place of love.
That's good. I would say like-mindedness is really important for me, us being able to be on the same page. But I also am a person, when it comes to relationships, on give and take. I don't want to always have to pour into you. And you shouldn't always have to pour into me, right? And so I think that when you have a relationship of give and take, I think iron sharpens iron. And so that's something that I look for when it comes to collaborations. What can I give to you? And then also, what can you give to me? And then we're flourishing and we're thriving together.
Yes, iron sharpening iron. I like that.
For me, I definitely think that it's the benefit for both parties. I collaborate with a lot of different people. I do a lot of different online summits, things like this. I'm really about, the right fit person, because you could collaborate with somebody and it might be a wrong choice, which I've done many times, and I've learned from that. So really, the benefit for both people has to be there. Like, I can't just say, okay, this is going to benefit me. You're going to come on my show. I'm going to do all this. And it's not going to benefit the other person. So I definitely think that finding the mutually beneficial reason that you both are collaborating, or if it's more than one person, is definitely one of my top things to look for.
I think that speaks to motive. Like, what is your motive?
Yeah.
Because like, if you have a platform and if you have a following, some of them just may want to just ride your coattail, and they may just say, hey, look who I'm connecting to. So it's all about, those wanting to self-promote themselves. And so I think I'm always leery of those types of people who are just consistently putting themselves out there, and there's not this mutual exchange. And so I think I think motive is huge.
That's good.
I agree. Yeah, that's something people often overlook. If you're a person who likes to give and pour into people and you're not receiving, at some point your glass is going to be empty, and you're not realizing that these people, well, their motive was just to drain your glass anyway, because your cup was full.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure at the same time, while you're pouring, that somebody's pouring into you, or that you're at least making that situation mutually beneficial.
Right. The same type of deposit, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot.
And so it's hard to be able to try to stay motivated when somebody is constantly asking you, so what about this idea? What about this? And then when you ask them, they silent.
Yes, because the whole time they just wanted to pick your brain.
Right. Yeah.
But now that your idea is on the table.
Opportunists.
Yeah.
Those are people that I don't collaborate with, are people who are opportunists.
How do you identify an opportunist?
Ooh. I think an opportunist would be, watching people. Watching their platform and how they operate when let's say if they're doing a Facebook Live together, and if it's just like me, this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and they're not even acknowledging really the person that is on there, or, you know, like, or developing these false relationships. That's another thing that I look for. And it's like, y'all don't know each other outside of what you're doing. And if you're not trying to build a relationship with me outside of this, then that's not something that I really want to connect with. Like, I'm not in the business to develop temporary relationships.
Exactly. Or what do they say? The loudest person in the room, that's usually who you should watch out for, because just because they're the loudest, their motive may be, you know.
That's a good point.
It's good. So what is something that makes you all say no? Like, this is just not for me, I can't do it. And also, how do you say no?
No.
Oh, yeah. Just like plain and simple.
No is a no for
me. If it doesn't align with what I have going on and I don't really see why would I be, you know, how would this benefit me? I once heard one of the housewives, I think it was Lisa, she says, if it doesn't make me money, I don't do it. But if it doesn't align with what I'm trying to do, then I don't need to be there. Like, it's a waste of my time. I need to see it be beneficial for me in some way, some shape, form, or fashion. It's got to be beneficial for me as well. And if it doesn't, nope.
No is a complete sentence, so I'll just say no.
Yes,
a complete sentence.
I try to, you know, if it doesn't fit within my niche, I'm not going to do it. Again, if it's not beneficial or something that I could see myself, you know, doing again or benefiting from, I'm just going to say no. I mean, I don't think at this point you have to give people reasons. I think that society allows us or wants us to give people a reason for every time we say no, but it's your choice on why you say no, and it's really not anybody's business on why you choose to do what you do.
I think can we just stop there and just really re-emphasize specifically as a woman of color, when you do say no, that's the bigger problem. Beyonce has, I hate to keep quoting these celebrities, but she has it in her song. The first time I say no, you know, it's a problem. For us, we get stigmatized for that because now we have an attitude, or now we're being negative, or no, like no means no. It doesn't fit my brand. It doesn't fit what I have going on. I just don't want to do it. There's no reason behind it. Oftentimes, there does not have to be a reason behind it. No is just no.
You two made really good points. It made me think about boundaries with your business. Like, we talk about boundaries in personal lives and not letting people, you know, pull you in too many different directions. But I think we have to set boundaries within our business. And like you said, no means no without giving an explanation and being unapologetic. Like, I don't have to. This is my brand. This is my business. And it's not personal, it's business. So I think that being able to recognize, I feel like those individuals who can respect that, you know what, I'm on a sabbatical right now, you know, or it's just a simple fact that, you know what, this is just not where I don't feel like we're aligned, right? Our businesses are not necessarily going in the same direction. No means no now. That doesn't mean that it can't change, you know, in the future.
That's good. What are some ways we can find people to collaborate? Like, how could we find people that's in alignment? Like, would that be social media, you know, events, different things like that? What are good places for us to find people that we can align with, that we can connect with, that we're on the same page with?
Ooh, so many different places. But you already know I'm going to say social media because I've actually met a lot of people that I work with on social media. The young woman who I work with in our marketing agency, she's the social media manager. We met on social media. She sent me an email, and now she's been working with me for 3 years. So I think social media is a really great place, but you have to go into it with intention. I go every day, I say, okay, if I'm going to put this post out, who will be the right people? For instance, I'm having an event and I put out on social media, hey, I need volunteers. Do you know I have 15 volunteers? All these people they follow me, they're my friends or know somebody, and literally I just put the post out. And I feel that I was like, the right people will say yes, because some people said they were interested and then they couldn't do it. But I'm like, well, that's just not the right person. Other places to really find great people to collaborate with, Facebook groups. There are different podcast groups who are looking for podcast guests, who you could just go in there and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for, you know, someone who, you know, has a business or does marketing or whatever, or works with women. I mean, it's just a wide range of collaborations that you can do. And I think that is a really great, and events too. I really love going to in-person events because you get to network with different people. So those are like the top 4 ways that I collaborate at this moment.
That's good.
Yeah, I was going to say networking, even though I don't like it. But that is the best way. I am a natural homebody and I don't go anywhere. And so, like,
girl,
those
me
are,
too.
right? So,
Me 3.
let's talk about that on the next episode. Introverted entrepreneurs.
That's a good topic. Let me add that in there.
And so I think so for me, it is like networking, and then also just being out. Like every time I go to, like if I go do a conference somewhere, then I'm always finding people who are at a conference, and then I'm exchanging business cards with them. And so I think just being out and being present is a good way to be able to meet people and getting outside of your comfort zone.
Got to push yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. We all said it, networking. I mean, that's ultimately the thing. It goes back to, like we said, with marketing, the word of mouth. You're not going to find people who can help with your business if you don't open your mouth, if you don't introduce yourself, if you don't go to those events, if you don't have, your cards or your digital cards on you, you won't be able to make that exchange, that social exchange. Networking is key, especially as an entrepreneur, because everyone that you potentially come in contact with could have something to attribute to your business.
That's really good. A great way to make extra income is to collaborate with brands. You can have affiliate links or be a brand ambassador. Some ways to get started. What are some ways to get started, you think, with working with brands? What would you say is one thing that pops into your head? Like, this is what you need to do to get started.
We all looked over to you.
I know. Y'all looking at me because I know about this marketing stuff. You said some really great points, like affiliate marketing, brand ambassador. But there's many different ways. One way right now that's very popular is UGC content creation. And what that means is user generated content. Now, it used to mean something else, but now you can create content for a brand and not have to be an influencer or creative and post it on your page. So say a brand wants to work with you for $500 for 2 videos and 2 photos. Now, I know there's people like you, like $500? Wow, yeah, just for 2 videos. So you don't have to post it on your page per se, but that brand can use it for content to promote their business, since it is more authentic coming from a real person and not from a celebrity. But I think if there are any influencers watching or creators, if you want to work with brands, one really great way to do is just to reach out to them, to say, hey, I'm a creative. This is what I can do for you, and actually promote your products and services to them. You'll be surprised about how many brands need content, how many brands need influencers. But yeah, those are definitely some things that you could do. We could definitely talk about brand ambassadors too, but those are just a few ways that I think when you really want to step out without having to be an influencer, you can do UGC content creation, definitely.
I'm going to speak to the people who don't have social media. I don't have nowhere to put links. And so I say that because, like one of my favorite scriptures is that your gift makes room for you, and it brings you before great men. And so not being on social media, people still find me, because I believe that God sends these people to me. So I don't have to worry about, trying to figure out like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? And so I believe that, these are just people that I'm supposed to, what I would consider to be just divine connections. And so sometimes I think just being you and being who you are, I believe can connect you sometimes to the right people. And God has a way of making sure that we're at the right place at the right time to be able to meet the right people.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I was going to say solidifying that niche again. And then once you have somewhat of a following going, then you, like you said, feel free to reach out. Closed mouth won't get fed. So reach out to those companies that you want to collaborate with potentially, and you never know. You might have what they're looking for. Just because you don't have 1 million followers, they may not want to target 1 million. They may want your 500 because your 500 is specific to whatever product they have coming out. So you have to not be afraid to reach out to collaborate.
Good. That's a good point. That made me think about something when you said that is I think that people have to realize, like, just because somebody has 50,000 followers does not necessarily mean that they're generating those same type of sales. It doesn't mean that they're making that type of money. These people are just following.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, because y'all taught me that people bought these followers.
Right. Exactly. Right. And so, but that's the thing. I think that is such a misconception, because it's like, oh my gosh, they have these 50,000 followers. That means absolutely nothing if they're not benefiting from their 50,000 followers. So it's just like, you just following, but you're not investing or even contributing to my business. Then I don't know why you following me.
Exactly.
There's no benefit. There's no return in the investment on that. It's just all at that point, it's all for show.
Yes. Yes.
So as in, let's talk about a little bit about niching down, you know, to work with these different brands or to really find your audience. How do we go about doing that? You know, we hear about it all the time. Niche down. What does that exactly mean? What does that exactly look like?
I'll take it back to the pen and paper for me. Knowing what you want to do specifically, write that down. And then you're going to say, okay, what type of people like this, or will buy this, or will, you know, contribute into this. From there, you can break that down. All right, what are these people's ages? You know, where are these people? Are these people, you know, at Starbucks? Or are they, you know, are they somewhere else? You know, but you have to niche down, as you said, down to the simple things, so that you can target that audience.
That's good.
I believe in niching down, but I also believe in you don't always have to have a niche, because sometimes you could be a lifestyle influencer, which is just you and your life, and you don't really have a niche. But I do think that it's best to have some type of niche. So maybe taking that and being a mom influencer, or taking that to being a sports influencer or something like that. I think people really waste a lot of time on niching down. It's so stressful, and they feel so stressed. Oh, I don't, you know. But I think it goes back to the business plan, the marketing plan. Who is your audience? Who is your target? And really saying, okay, if I have these smoothies and I have this smoothie shop, well, obviously your clientele is going to be some people who are healthy and want to benefit off health, because they know that drinking smoothies would be great. But maybe you just want to niche down and just be a smoothie place just for green smoothies. I mean, there's so many different ways to cut it. I think niching down has to work best for your business. Like, I've more recently decided to niche down and just speak more to women, but my brand still appeals to men, because I still get men in my inbox asking for marketing help too. But I just really wanted to help more women. So not to say that I won't help men, but I'm just niching down to specifically talk to them in my content.
A focus group. I think that's important too, because like you said, just because you are maybe lifestyle, that doesn't mean you can't touch on beauty, right? Because there are other things that you can get into. Just because you post about one thing doesn't mean you can't change it up and post for something else. You just want to have a target audience.
Really good.
I think of niche. When I think of a niche, I think of a breach. And I say that because when a breach is a break in something. So I believe that if people like took their niche and looked at the market that they're working in, where's the breach? Use your business to fill that breach, to fill up that hole. And I think that's a way of being able to niche down, because if you are in the smoothie business and you realize and say, you know what, there are a lot of smoothies that people are making, but their smoothies are very high in sugar. And so you find the breach, and the breach is that there's smoothies that are high in sugar. I'm going to create a smoothie that doesn't have a lot of sugar. So I look at as an opportunity even to also set your business apart, as we were kind of talking about earlier, is like finding what that breach is and how can your business fill that breach? Because then that actually creates your own particular market.
Yep, and your audience too.
Yep. So we're talking about reaching out to brands, reaching out to peers, different things like that. What does that language look like? It can be intimidating, hopping in a DM like, hey girl, you know what I mean? Like, what does that language look like when you want to reach out to someone to maybe start a friendship or a possible collaboration?
I think about it from a business, when you go look for a job. And you reach out and to be able to say, hey, I want to know if you're hiring or whatever. In most cases, if you go into an interview, you tell them what you like about their business. Why do you want to work for that particular company? So I think that a great way of being able to start is that when you reach out to someone, why did you reach out to them? Right? Why? This, everybody's on TikTok, but why did you reach out to me? A lot of people do marketing. What was it about me that drew you to me? Because that to me in my personal opinion, it helps me to really see if we are in alignment and if your motive is actually really pure. Because if you're like, I just sent 20 people the same, I don't,
and you responded,
right? Right. So that to me, just I don't know. That just screams to me desperation, and it screams opportunist. And so I'm looking for someone to say, you know what? I've been watching you. I've been following you for a while, and I feel connected to you. I love when you. That to me is like, okay, you know what? This is genuine and this is authentic. So I look for those people who specifically can identify why me.
It's really good.
Well, I was gonna say you gonna use ChatGPT to help you reach out to these people.
They need to tell you need to get
It's an endorsement.
I'm trying to tell you,
ChatGPT, please reach out to me.
I was gonna give them your email.
Man,
the links will be in her bio.
It will. It will. I definitely think that working on the other side, like for brands, when people will reach out, I've just seen so many different things. The first thing is you should probably realize and understand how to spell the person's name and not spell it wrong. Like my name is not Michael, it's Michelle with 2 L's and an E.
Right.
So knowing who to reach out for, I think is number one. Also researching the right people. You can look on LinkedIn, you can look on the internet and all these places to really, really find who that person is that you're supposed to be reaching out to. And then use ChatGPT to help you come up with an outreach letter. Say, you know, this is the brand I'm trying to reach out to. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm giving y'all a prompt. This is what I'm trying to do.
Take notes.
And this is what I want to tell them. And it will spit you back out a letter. I think in this day and age, I know we're like, oh, I don't want to think. Maybe you don't have to think as hard if you have tools that are available to you. So take it old school. Look up these people online, really find the right person and spell their name right. But not only in this letter or outreach are you going to talk about you, you're going to talk about how it's going to benefit them. I've gotten a lot of letters where it's like, oh, I got 50,000 followers and I'm going to do this. But what about the brand? What about what's in it for us? So really coming to that point and saying, hey, this is how I can help you. This is how, you know, I see our partnership going. Give them some ideas, but not all your ideas. But I definitely would start there and use ChatGPT.
Yeah, researching and, like you said, really finding out who you're supposed to reach out to, and look at the people who are already doing what you're trying to do. Who are they working with? You know, not saying that that's not someone that you can't reach out to. You know, maybe you have something different to offer than this person. You can never be, you know, intimidated to secure your seat at the table just because someone else had sat there before.
How do you base your pay when you're reaching out to these brands? Are you asking for money up front, or are you giving, this is what I can do for your company and then we'll talk about it after? Like, how is that foundation built with them, as in financial wise, money wise?
Ooh,
I think the price is the price.
Yeah, that too. I think it really depends on what it is that you're doing. Like if it's, okay, I'm going to do these set amount of videos or something, or if it's a long-term partnership, I really think it depends. For me, I really have to think, if I'm working with a brand, number one, do I have to get a babysitter? You know, how long is it going to take me away from my family? Do I have to do my hair? Do I have to do my makeup? Do I have to get props? Do I have to rent things? Do I have to go to the physical place? With partnerships, it's a lot that can be involved. So if you work a 9-to-5 job, I would say, how much are you making your 9-to-5? That could be the rate for the day, plus everything else that it takes for you to do what you need to do. I don't think that, I like this conversation of numbers and how much to charge, but it's going to be different for everybody, because I could say, oh, I'm going to charge somebody 10 grand and y'all going to be like, oh, okay. But could you charge somebody 10 grand? Do you have those skills and expertise to charge somebody 10 grand? You may not. So you may not be able to charge somebody $10,000 for something. But if you do have that, you have the background, you have the receipts. I'm a receipt person and you have to have those receipts. So I think it differs depending on the project. Many projects within corporate, if you're working with a corporate brand, they're going to be net 30 or net 60. It's not going to be right away. And a lot of influencers, creatives, experts are like, oh, I need my money up front. But it may not work that way in that particular business. Yes, if you're coming with them to something and you're the one providing the contract and saying, okay, this is what we're doing, then you have different, you know, stipulations on pricing and timing, but it just may not always work out the way that you want it to.
That's good.
I would say so. With my business, I do contracts. Like I contract with companies and organizations. And so I have an hourly rate that is a set rate. And so depending on the size of the company, I know they have a little bit more money. And so therefore I take my rates up a little bit more. If they don't have as much, then I do my best to try to work with, especially if they're like a nonprofit, I do my best to try to work with them. But for me, I think about the time it's going to take me to research. I do the trainings for them. Not only do I facilitate them, I create them. And then I have to travel to them. And then I have to order my training materials for them. And then I have to print. I take all of those individual costs together, and then I write out my contract, my statement of work, and I'm like, this is how much you're investing in me. I don't ever call it a price. I say, this is how much you are investing into this project. And so in most cases, because people know your value and they know your worth and they know your experience, they usually in most cases they're not going to question it. And so I think that you have to recognize who you are, and I think that you also cannot undervalue yourself.
That's good.
Huge.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, taking the torch with that, I feel like you have to, I think the bigger piece is that you have to know your worth and not be afraid to have that conversation, because a lot of times people will be, when you're starting up in your business, people will be very intimidated to talk about prices or to talk about finance, or you feel like, well, I don't want to say something that's going to be too much and then I lose the client, or I don't want to say something that I'm lowballed and then, like you said, I've wasted a whole day here, or whatever. So I think having that conversation with people is important, because you want to make sure that you're being, compensated in some way. I do a contract as well. I have a day rate, a half day rate, and then you add on if you have to travel to, or if they're taking care of travel fees, and your stay. There are various things that factor into that final contract price, like she said, depending upon the company size. But again, you can't be afraid of your market value.
Yeah. And you have to start somewhere. Like, I think that some people want to jump into the game and they like, I want to charge $300 an hour. You've not had no clients,
right?
0 clients, and you want to charge $300 an hour, and they're going to look at you like,
right? Like, people don't even like you.
How do I know that?
About-
Right? How do I know that's your worth? And so that's why I think, like with my website, I put all of the individual clients that I worked with, from the federal government to state government agencies. They go to my website, so when I present that contract, they not asking no questions, because I have receipts.
and that's
so
how
I think so I think that's important, is that building up that credibility also, I think, is really important when you're trying to determine price.
And specifically too, if they're coming to you to work with you, they kind of already have a sense of your background. So you really shouldn't be afraid to charge whatever you're going to charge, because 9 times out of 10, they've already researched you. They want to work with you. They just need to know how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, and if they can't afford it, they can't afford it. We're not meant to work together.
Yeah, and they probably would not have asked you if they can't, But
then some people want to negotiate, and my price is not negotiable.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like you have to this is where this goes back to self-advocating.
Yeah.
Right? Because is it all about the money? It's not all about the money. And so therefore, I'm just not going to accept anything. And I've had people say, hey, would you be able to do it for this price? And I'll tell them, no, I can't, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
And again, going back to, like you said, how does it benefit me? So if there is a company that you wouldn't mind working with,
sure,
and they maybe cannot afford your price, how else can this benefit you? Maybe they have a following that you haven't reached yet. Maybe this is your opportunity to do that. Maybe they have, connections somewhere else that now you're going to meet those connections if you do this specific thing. So yeah, I think looking at the greater value of it as well. If you're not at my price, then this is how I'll benefit from this in the long run. I may gain a client from this, interaction, or I may gain, a following from this interaction.
Yeah, I set it up to where actually we develop a longer term partnership. And so if you can't afford this particular service, then let's figure out, like, long term, what does this look like? And maybe we could spread this out over a 3-month period of time versus you paying like this large upfront cost. So I try to do it that way. And my whole objective to that is that I want you to see how good that I am, that you keep me this contract going.
Exactly. It's like securing that financial investment.
The bag. Yes. Securing the bag.
Right.
It's really good. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Hopefully you got some great takeaways and things that you can implement in your business and in your daily life. And we will see you on the next episode. Have a great one. Bye.